There's this little portion of the caper. And
we are live.
Just about.
Okay.
The privacy setting caper. There we go. Public, done. Change. Well, I think it's fair to say 7:30. We are locked and loaded and good to go. Ladies and gentlemen, Then enough Spin Doctors, episode 27. Time flies when you're having fun.
That means it's this is officially the halfway mark of a year, 6 months, because we had 1 week where we had a double ep.
We did have a double ep, yes.
So
yes.
If we've done 27 episodes and we've done one a week plus 1 week where we did a double ep, that means we are officially at the halfway, the half a year's worth of episodes, and it is having
a
profound effect on people's understanding and people's what would you say, awareness of what actually goes on. Well, and it has challenged some of the narratives that have been put forward by others. Now, we better do some introductions.
We've got to do some introductions. Now, you flew solo last week.
Yep.
And from what I heard and saw, you did a pretty good job.
Not bad. No, well,
not bad for the co-host.
Yeah, I had to get a bit of, just get things off my chest.
Look, and to be fair, at the moment, there's probably a little bit more going on in your chest than there is on mine. I'm pretty well focused on my businesses and these things and my little bloke finishing school. So I'm probably in the cool, calm, collected phase. We've almost had a role reversal.
Well, I'm cool, calm, and collected, but I'm just dealing with the matters as they arise.
Oh, for sure.
And this matter arose and it needed to be dealt with. I thought it was disgusting, and I think most of the feedback that I've received over the course of the week
has been mostly positive. And again, a few people have asked some questions, which they're entitled to do. That's the whole purpose of this. Yes. This little project is to open those doors.
Yes.
And look, I thought you did a good job last week, and I'm glad that you're touching on the topics that you're touching on. I believe in free speech, absolutely. So when people want to call me names, I'm all for it. Go nuts. But I also believe that you've got to be able to have this dialogue. And after hearing some of those recordings, I'm pretty disgusted. So, but let's kick the game off. So, Dean of Spin Doctors, episode 27. I'm one of your co-hosts, Dean McRae. I answer to nobody. I'm not owned. I'm not bought and paid for. Very concerned citizen, politically minded. And
future president of Temora Ratepayer Association, allegedly.
I'd rather not. I'd rather somebody else took over the Ratepayers Association.
I think it's a great idea. But I've had some people saying that it's a great idea.
I would like to help facilitate these alternative operations, if you will. But I answer to nobody other than sort of myself and my customers and people in that space. As far as politically, I answer to nobody. I haven't been bought and paid for by anybody. My opinions are 100% my own. And I agree with this guy on many things, and we disagree on quite a few things as well.
Yeah, I'm a bit soft.
He's a soft libertarian, and I'm pretty hard. I'd ban the entire government. Well, I wouldn't ban it. I'd just dismantle it. But
okay, my name's Anthony Irvine. I'm a councillor on Temora Shire Council currently. This is my second term on council. The views I express here are the views of Anthony Irvine and not those of Temora Shire Council. Let's be very clear on that.
Yes.
Now, one thing that I've found that's very interesting this week, it goes back to a topic that we've been covering since we went to air the first time, is some of the shenanigans that have been occurring at Liverpool Council. Now, it appears that Liverpool Council are now facing serious cash flow problems with a real risk of defaulting on multi-million-dollar loans. Now, when we say multi-million-dollar loans, it appears that the council needs to find $25 million in the next 6 months or risk defaulting on development loans worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Now, apparently they've built a civic centre which had some commercial space for lease, and the commercial spaces have been slow to be taken up, and it's put some unexpected strain on council's finances. So yes, it appears that a lack of cash reserves puts Liverpool Council at risk of violating the terms of their $217 million in loans.
So it's pretty inspiring that we've got these little local fiefdoms and they're just throwing around this sort of cash like it's nothing, but it's not their money, so they don't really care. Let's be fair.
Well, it is, and that's the whole thing.
They only care when they're about to lose their cushy gigs. That's the only time they care. They don't care about pissing ratepayers' money up the wall. None of them do, really. Sadly, on the whole, I'm sure there are individuals within councils that have slightly more appropriate integrity, but the rest, it's all about vanity projects, pissing ratepayers' money. It's always easy to give away other people's money.
But you wonder
you give me your bank account tomorrow, and I reckon I could spend it pretty comfortably.
But
and poorly.
The picture they will paint is that the elected officials are acting as like a board of a company.
Yes.
And we're directing the ship.
They're not collect rubbish.
Listen to this. Some councillors told the ABC, so this is a report from the ABC into this matter. Some councillors told the ABC they were blindsided by the news that the unrestricted cash reserves had been drained. So how can that happen? Every council meeting, there is a report tabled that talks about council's cash position.
Well, I don't really attend council meetings, but you obviously do.
Well, I did tonight. I've come from one this evening. It started at 4. There was actually a public forum at 3:45, which I attended. I stayed for the meeting. I was out of the meeting by about 6:15 or something.
What was the public forum about?
It was a representation from someone from the Heritage Committee. I'm just concerned about the preservation practices that are maybe not so forthcoming with the demolition of the old Temora Hospital to make way for the new development. So they're a bit concerned that some of the heritage may be not catalogued appropriately. So, and that's a valid concern.
Yeah, right.
I think it's in hand. I think it was just an opportunity just to make sure that they've got it on the record that they've got some concerns, and I think those concerns will be addressed.
Fair enough.
So I don't think it's a massive issue, and there's no bulldozers up there on site today. There's still plenty of time to catalogue all this stuff. However, if they do leave it for another 6 months, then it might be getting a little bit. So it does.
Problematic.
Yeah, there does need to be something in that space. I just can't believe that a council can get upset, but we see it all the time. Now, from a council perspective, the mayor of Temora often laments the fact of all of the compliance and all of the oversight that's now being put on councils in terms of audit and risk committees and further oversight requirements, reporting, auditing, and all of that type. But the sector brings it upon itself because the sector is a financial basket case, and we've got Central Coast Council, we've got Kiama Council, and now we've got Liverpool.
Southern Highlands Council. I believe Snowy Mountains Council is about to have a similar meltdown.
And on it goes. And then the next thing they'll do is they'll say, "Oh, we're broke. We need to put rates up."
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, it's other people's money, and we've just got this never-ending.
And we've mismanaged it.
Yeah.
But you're going to pay. Can
you imagine if you was a business owner had a monopoly on customers, i.e., you looked around, right, I don't know, what is it? What's the population tomorrow now? 5,500, 6,000, whatever. You've got a monopoly on this many people, and you get to extort them essentially for an arbitrary number that you make up, because that's where they get the number from. It's an arbitrary bullshit number. And you get to extort them annually for a certain amount of money.
Annually.
Well, annually. You get to extort them, and yet you still manage to go broke. Now, the average ratepayer, or not even the average, 80, 90 to 95% of ratepayers just tolerate it and cop the fact they've got to pay this shit. They just pay it. And they just pay it. It's a cost of doing business. It's a necessary evil is one that comes out all the time. And somewhere in the middle of this necessary evil, these guys move this arbitrary number, and every council's got a different rate of extortion, because that's what it is. It's a rate of extortion. Don't do it, and they'll come and try and steal your house. And somehow they still go broke, over and over and over again.
And the
big
difference between this local government sector and private enterprise is, as a private businessman, I sit there at the start of the year and I make projections of what I hope my income may be.
Yeah.
They start with a known quantity.
Yes.
And then they proceed to overspend that known quantity and then go broke.
Yes.
You know, that to me.
We know how much money, how many houses
Yes.
are in town. We know how much land's in town. We know exactly what number we're extorting everybody for. So if
what your
90% of these people pay this shit,
you know what income is.
it's,
Okay, my income is $1,000. If I spend $999, I'm going to have a $1 surplus, and I'm a champ.
yeah.
If I spend $2,000, that means I've overspent by $1,000, and we're all insolvent. I really should be flogged.
Every council,
publicly.
every state government, every federal government needs the Doge, a mimic of the
Yes.
nearly run
I think we need the stocks.
Elon and Vivek.
I think everybody's got a civic square or something, and I think they need to bring back the stocks.
Power and feather them and sort of
Absolutely.
right.
And to sit them out there and go, I would love to just.
You wasteful, mismanaging, clowns, absolute muppet.
3-week-old tomato just
sloppy
coming
tomatoes
in from the outfield.
But yeah,
over the stump.
All these. Who is the efficiency officer in each one of these shows?
Oh.
Who's going to go through and go waste? You don't need to be employed. Your shit. You produce nothing. You produce nothing.
Who's the person who just actually looks at the figures?
That's all bullshit.
That's what you're making. That's what you're spending.
Spend more
not adding up.
Spend more than that, you're all sacked.
Yes.
All key people are sacked because you people clearly can't count.
Now, as private enterprise people, we make projections of what we hope to have as income. We're reluctant to spend it prior, and also we've got the risk because we quite often spend all the money on the materials and all the money on the labour and all of the money on the transport,
the ongoings, yeah,
the inputs, and then we'll have a client default upon us. Now, the default rate for council receiving income is very, very low.
Yeah, because it's a standard extortionate
program.
program.
They've got all this big program and a massive cupboard full of bats that they can draw on,
of course,
to extract that payment.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? It's so much in their favour. So when they go broke, it's triply, quadruply worse. It's other people's money. It's not their money, number one, and it's just ineptitude and complete mismanagement.
I got set off earlier this week. 9 News, Moreton Bay Council. I don't know if you've come across those.
It's
talk about it
in Brisbane.
Yeah, it's up in Queensland.
Yes.
Talk about an overindulged head-up-ass mayor, right? These people absolutely need a slapping. City of Moreton Bay has rolled out a ban prohibiting homeless people from having pets or publicly sleeping in vans, with those caught breaking these new rules facing hefty fines.
Well, they should return to their homelessness.
Well, that's right. Mayor Peter Flannery, who is obviously a world-class douchebag who possibly needs to be punched until my fist breaks, but not that we would advocate violence, but he probably would be deserving. I certainly wouldn't. I wouldn't feel bad if somebody did that. Said the issue was costing the council more than $2 million annually, and he wouldn't stand for it any longer. And I imagine he stomped his little tarted foot, and he went, "This is outrageous. These poor people sullying up our town and having the audacity of being, I don't know, possibly sad, lonely veteran, whatever the case may be."
Where's the cost come from?
Well, that's we got to get down into there. Obviously, in probably him having to get his car washed every time he drives past one of these filthy beggars. I can only imagine that it's some sort of complete bullshit. But this is sort of the low-down, scummy stuff that happens from these little fiefdoms where how are you going to fine a homeless person? What are they going to pay the fine with? Like what gibbering bullshit nonsense?
Yes. And
you've got this idiot up here, Peter Flannery. You've just landed on my shit list, son. I'm going to find you later and I'm going to have some fun. No. But here's the how do you do that? How do you do it? Now, I'm a harsh arsehole.
Even Wagga City Council, who are known for making a couple of questionable decisions.
Sure.
They were going to kick the homeless people out of Wilkes Park. And at the 11th hour, they changed their mind because those homeless people weren't going to go back to their 5-beddy mansions overlooking Lake Albert.
No, they're not there because they're sitting there going, shit, I really don't want to go home to my house with my Netflix, my eating, my
I'm sick of me pool. I'm sick of me spa. I just want to go to Wilkes Park and sit under a tarp. 40-degree heat.
But this is the sort of delusional shit for brain stuff that goes on in these councils that are just so out of touch with real people, off their heads because their money comes from this extortionate thing.
Yes.
And this idiot wants to ban them from having pets. How do you enforce that? Not my dog, just a stray. He just come and shared my can of baked
And they'll
beans.
probably take them down to the pound and euthanize them.
Yeah, and cost the tax, but that's probably where the 2 million's coming from.
Yeah.
And you're talking about the dogs, or you're talking about the homeless people,
No.
because this idiot,
Well,
I have
that's
a
the next
feeling
step,
we'd love to
I think he
euthanize
has got a
homeless people.
final solution.
Yeah, I reckon
everything
he
is.
certainly seems to be that
Yeah.
sort of a douchebag,
Yes,
doesn't he?
he could have a
But-
dogs this way, owners that way.
And I'm often critiqued for being pretty harsh in that sort of space. Like, right, guys, what are we going to do to get you up and running? But I also put my money, I'll go and help out at the Pro Patria Centre. I'll help out the homeless where I think it's relevant, where I'm capable of doing so.
But every single one of us are only 2 or 3 unfortunate circumstances colliding immediately
and
away from homelessness.
Absolutely.
I watched a show there a while ago about a group of middle-aged women who'd found themselves very late in their
lives
plans homeless.
Yep.
One lady turned up at home and the husband was sitting at the dining room table, and basically he said to her, it's gone. And she said, what's gone? And he said, everything, the house, the lot. She had been in angel gear, completely oblivious and allowing him, like, having no input into her actual financial security and the decisions being made about that.
Yep.
And next minute she's homeless.
Yep.
And I mean,
like
homeless, like homeless.
Possibly living in your car if you've managed to retain your car. And this idiot wants to ban you sleeping in your car because how dare you sleep in your car when you've obviously got a perfectly good mansion somewhere sitting there unoccupied.
Imagine if you were a small business owner in a small country town and you had a run-in with the local council, and then they decided to attack your reputation and try and destroy your business and run you down publicly and do everything in their power to drain you and to destroy you and to affect your mental health and to really impact you, and you could find yourself on hard times unless you were really fortunate to have great support people around you, have a lot of experience and be quite resilient, and have some plan Bs.
Well, and look, we're going to get onto the mental health issues tonight for a few of those things, but I wouldn't mind betting a lot of the people that are there homeless in Moreton Bay, and I'm told that we have a relatively, I don't want to say a good population, but a far bigger population of homelessness in Temora than I would have ever fathomed.
There's, due to the lack of
affordable housing.
You call it affordable. It's just the lower
socioeconomic. What can you get into for
lower cost rentals?
Man, I know people are paying $300-400 a week for rent. Like,
the lack of lower cost rentals means that there are a number of people who are couch surfing, can't get permanent accommodation, and no, it's a
genuine problem, and it's going to get worse societally. I've got no delusion of that, and there's not one political party in this country that has any hope in hell of being in power that's going to fix it, because they're both stupid.
Well, but most of the politicians own 50 homes. They're quite happy to have negative gearing stay in place, and the poor people can.
Those peasants need to get back to their peasantry. Go forth. Go forth, you minions.
There is a acknowledgement that social housing has been neglected by consecutive governments for about the last 25 years. Australia used to do social housing reasonably well.
Yeah.
And it was a great stepping stone, and there are a hell of a lot of people that I know and I call great friends that grew up in a commission home and have made their own way, and they're successful independent individuals in their own right.
Yeah.
And Australia being such an egalitarian nation, and look, honestly, the difference between someone living in a commission house and someone who's living in 2 doors up in a fibro home that they own themselves is about that much.
Yeah, look, for sure.
So
it's having that door available to you to open.
It might be a situation. Well, back in those days, it was a situation where there might have been a mother with a couple of kids, and the husband may have abandoned her, or there was all sorts of different reasons why someone. But they were certainly no lesser humans, and quite often very appreciative of every opportunity they got, and great contributors to society. So,
absolutely.
Australia's really dropped the ball in the social housing space, and that's then led to this. Well,
I'm pretty harsh in the space. I'm not big on any of that sort of stuff. But we've created a society of dependence, as our governments have created a society of dependence.
yes,
I struggle to find anybody that does not get some version of a government payment.
yes,
Now I'm an extremist. I say to my accountant every year, you just fill out the tax. I don't care. I don't want to know. I don't want to deal with them. I don't want to. Do you want to apply for it? No, I don't want to apply for shit. I don't want anything from these people. I want them to leave me the hell alone, and that's my principle. And I'll kind of die on that hill. People go, you're stupid. You could get this, and you'd be eligible for this, but you're a single dad with, you get all this. No, I'll work my ass off, and I'll provide for my family. And I'll die on that hill to some degree, because even though they tax the eyeballs out of me, and I know it's, but they tax it and it's your money anyway. I get it. I just can't fathom dealing with them. I don't want to report to them.
You're fortunate
I don't want
that you are capable,
absolutely,
well, healthy, and you've got some opportunities and some options. Some people haven't got that. They might have the same ethics and the same outlook as you, but they just haven't got those opportunities or the ability to carry their own bag just for
yeah. Some people need that hand up for sure, right? And if those people are out there and you're looking for a bit of work, I'm always looking for people for different jobs at the moment.
Yes.
There is a little bit going on, but I'd like to see us build more resilient people, as opposed to every time there's a problem, we go, government fix it, government throw money at it, government needs to throw more money at it. And money doesn't solve 80% of the problems. Most of these things aren't a money problem. They're a resilience, they're a creativity problem. And the government's generally a handbrake saying, well, there's a reason they have signs in, parks in America and Europe saying, don't feed the bears. They become dependent. And then they kind of lose that capability of
well, then they just hang around and they cause a nuisance in themselves.
Hang around waiting for somebody's McDonald's to eat, because then they have to go chasing a salmon.
Yes.
And that's pretty serious stuff. So I'd like to see it reframed.
Yeah, no, 100%. Okay, that's council generally.
What's going on there with our little show?
No, Liverpool in its own right, though. The mayor on the 30th of November had a defamation case kicked out of court.
This is Ned Manoon.
Ned Manoon is the mayor of Liverpool Council, and he had a defamation case against another councillor. Well, it says former councillor here, but he's referred to in another article as a councillor. So there's a little bit of
they're all, yeah,
clarity there. I'll check into that, and I'll come back with the actual facts.
Yeah. I'm sure if you were that determined to find out, you'd be able to yourself jump on the website.
This is an ABC News article. The Mayor of Liverpool City Council has lost a defamation case against a former councillor over a Facebook post labelling him a crim and a grub, which also accused him of fraud involving a charity. Now, the defamation laws have been beefed up a little while ago, and you have to prove serious harm. So the New South Wales District Court struck out and dismissed Mayor Ned Manoon's claim on Friday, ruling that the social media post did not meet the serious harm threshold required under recent defamation law reforms. So here to recent defamation law reforms, here to Mr. Mistevsky having freedom of speech in Australia, and I'm here to Ned's feelings.
Ned's feelings. Look, now, and I guess you're just as equal, but in this more recent times, where all of my dirty laundry, my driving record was sprayed, and it wasn't just a little corner of the paper. It was, let's get this full. Fair enough, guns come blazing. I'm good with that. I got no problem with it. I think I'm cool, but I had an awful lot of people reaching out going, that's disgusting. You should be suing them. You should be. I said, well, you can't, one, because it's true.
Yes.
And I could wear that shit because I think I'm pretty.
But you could see that it was a targeted attack.
Absolutely.
And there was political
motivation for sure.
That was the difference, because it was so politically motivated that it was so blatant and so
normies around town. And there are some of them who I know don't even like me that much going, but that was wrong.
That was wrong.
And I'm going, yeah, look, let them load their little.
You couldn't, you certainly couldn't
get it.
You couldn't say that you never did it. You couldn't say it never happened, but you could certainly say that you had a little jockey-sized editor who was riding hands and heels trying to flog
Absolutely,
you.
but as a free speech absolutist, if you want to go out publicly and call me names, right, I'm happy for you to do that. Now, I'm a relatively public operator.
Yes.
I'm very, very publicly transparent. I don't hide from anything. There are people who don't live their lives that way, when you see these things happening, you can't be the mayor of a town and start crying like a little bitch that somebody's hurt your feelings. Like,
Yes.
in all honesty, I do try. I've been working really hard on how much I swear on this program. But seriously, if you're the mayor of Liverpool and a councillor has hurt your feelings and you're going to, oh, well, he called me a grub. I reckon there's probably some merit for that. And I reckon half your electorate's calling you a grub as well.
He may know you really well.
He may know more about you than the rest of them. But if you're going to be a little bitch, you can fuck right off.
Yes.
Right? Wrap your little crybaby shit. Now, if you're a private citizen, now if you're receiving $1 from the taxpayer or ratepayer, as far as I'm concerned, your privacy is only worth this much. Because the minute you start taking money from arguably me forcibly to pay your salary, you're answerable to me and the other ratepayers. I understand for basic employees it's a little bit different, but if you're at a high ranking level,
but even for basic employees who are public servants, a lot of them refuse to assist the public. A lot of them refuse to. I've found great difficulty accessing or performing my role with resistance from providing information. All sorts of different.
Well, I mean, look, I'm comparing the blokes who did what my dad used to do and clean the shit houses and things like that. If his shit didn't need to be made public, it probably shouldn't have been.
No.
But if you're up in that upper echelon,
paid to do a job.
If you're the general manager of a shire council, but this one here, but any other, you're absolutely open to public scrutiny.
I think so.
And absolutely, if you're a councillor, you're open to public scrutiny. So is any other councillor on this electorate. And if you don't like that shit, if it hurts your feelings, don't run for council. Don't get into public office. Don't get anywhere near it. Stay, hide in your little house. Go about your business as privately as you like. Earn your own money and cut the crybaby crap. Because, I'm going to sue for defamation. My feelings hurt is the biggest load of bullshit on planet Earth.
But also, I think that said, you've also got every right to correct the public record.
Absolutely.
If someone's out there sprouting absolute smack.
If there are lies, for sure.
Yes. Or just
that's why I used my driving record. I didn't have a problem with it because it was true.
Yeah, complete misconceptions. Now,
if you're going to go in there and lie and make up bullshit, I would have hammered that guy 6 ways till Sunday.
There was a post that you put up last week after the mayor's performance.
Oh, the little rant I saw. Yeah, that was disgusting. That rant.
And there was some information that came forward from someone I don't even know who has got a Facebook handle called Megan Louise. Now, Megan Louise had very strong views on these matters, but had very little understanding.
So I'm not sure I know Megan Louise. No. I'm not going to bullshit. There's 2,500 odd people floating around my various social medias. I don't know all of you, intimately or whatever. So some follow me because I'm entertaining. Some follow me because they want to see what's going on.
One misconception closely held by Megan Louise, which I had to correct, was Megan Louise said maybe dip into your own pocket instead of the ratepayers to conclude your business disputes.
Yes. We've spoken about that at length on here. You haven't spent $1 of the ratepayers' money.
No, the council seems to spend a lot of the ratepayers' money on codes of conduct.
And you've spent your own.
Well, when they bring a code of conduct against me and they initiate that, then I have to deal with it. And there is a significant expense in dealing with it.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's maybe Megan Louise's first misconception. No, council spent 70 grand of your money on codes of conduct against me that they brought against me and they initiated. Now, would you believe there's never been a code of conduct in Temora until me? So I'm special. I'm really special. I feel special. Now, another big misconception, and it comes back, and this is a really disturbing part of the whole process here. Basically, and I'm sure anyone who's a regular follower of the show knows, the main misunderstanding was that I was given the job to upgrade the audio and lighting at the town hall supper room, followed by the main hall, when funding became available, by Chris Dunstan. Okay, now that was given to me around 2011 And then I performed in that role. I upgraded the supper room,
Yeah.
and I got paid for that. And then I worked in the rest of the project, getting it ready until funding became available. So there was a lot of planning, a lot of meetings, a lot of design work, a lot of consultations. I went to Sydney to see trade guys. I had meetings with guys about lighting. There was a guy came over from the coast. And these are all people knowing that I had the job,
Yep.
who were going to participate and enable me to conduct the job and to bring it off to a high standard.
Yep.
And then we get to the point where the job's about to go ahead, and Mr. Dunson pulls the plug. He pulls the rug and completely kicks me out of the project. Well, at this point, I jacked up. And I said, that is horseshit. Now, once we got to the nitty-gritty of it, I sat down and went through the process, and clearly council had resolved that they were not going to go with me. They were going to go with another provider.
Yep.
Okay. I said to the general manager, I said, look, that is your decision. I said, however, I've done significant work on this project on the understanding that I had the project. I'm going to give you an invoice for a significant number of hours work that I can demonstrate that I've done.
Yep.
And you pay that and I'll walk away from this job. I won't be happy, but I will walk away.
Yeah,
All right?
of course.
I reckon you've shit on me. I reckon you've led me up the garden path. It's a disgusting way to treat someone who's fulfilled their end of the bargain. But if that's the way you want to go about it, pay me and I'll walk away.
Yep.
Well, there was this really disgusting process that then started to unfold where council basically denied that they owed me the money. Then they offered a third of it as an insult. Then they required a non-disclosure agreement be signed in order to pay me the full amount.
It's amazing how those people love non-disclosure agreements. Oh,
then the general manager turned up, once I rejected that, the general manager turned up at my workshop with a cheque for the full amount in one hand and a one-page legal document in the other, insisted if I signed that legal document, he was going to give me the cheque.
Carrot or stick, baby.
Bullying 101. This was a sensitive matter. He never rang me and let me know he was coming. He never gave me any heads up. He turns up at 1:30 on a Friday afternoon at my workshop with the Bully of the Year badge.
Yeah.
You know, sign this and you can have this. He tried to bushwhack me. He wanted that job done. He wanted it done and dusted. He wanted his dirty little letter signed.
Of course.
And he wanted to get rid of that cheque out of his hands, and he just wanted nothing else to do with it. And I said, stick the cheque in your pocket, you grub. Leave the document with me, and I'll be back in touch.
Yeah.
When I asked him the same questions as to why should I sign a legal document in order to get paid for work I've proven I've done, his response was, no, you misunderstand. It's purely for audit purposes. Matter of fact, you can write your own. So after 12 months,
we've been through the thing.
This is
we
it.
know
After 12 fucking months,
yeah,
they finally pay the account, as they should have, the day I issued it.
Yeah, 7-day terms,
And
1
I
day
gave them
term,
a
whatever.
receipt.
Problem done. Here it is. We don't want to do business with you anymore. Problem solved. Let's move on.
So that's
the
guts of it, Megan Louise, and that's the main game, and that still hasn't been resolved.
Yeah.
Now they've paid that amount, but they haven't been held accountable for the bullying. They haven't been held accountable for the lies. I have had no formal apology. There's also concerns about the design rights with the project. There's a number of unresolved elements. But on top of that, council have managed to deny me opportunities to work, deny me opportunities to quote jobs, started to badmouth me in the community, started to spread rumours. They've really gone out of their way to bully and negatively impact me, because I had the temerity to stand up for my own rights and demand that I be actually paid fairly for what I'd done.
Yeah.
And that is fucking disgusting. Now, as this first train wreck was unraveling or happening, derailing, there was another project off on the side, which was, of course, the Goldenia Tea restoration sign. But I'm a sign writer, and we weren't, as a company, given an opportunity to quote this job. Now,
and which, just so that people are clear on it, I actually oppose councils and governments funding any sort of sign writing anywhere. I'm happy enough, if they're going to be paying somebody to do it, they might as well pay you to do it. But I don't think it's council's role. I don't think it's government's role.
Well,
to be spending ratepayer money on.
They've got
government.
a heritage committee to try and retain some of the heritage items in the town, and that's been approved and it's been budgeted.
Sure.
They had a shortfall in that money, so they actually went out to the community to raise the shortfall. So some of that was raised by donations.
Yeah, sure.
Anyway, it turns out that the chairman of the heritage committee was also Mr. Dunstan, who had basically thrown me under the bus
on the other job.
On the other job.
Yeah.
Now, working in Mr. Dunstan's department in Temora Shire Council was an individual called Belinda Bushell. Now, Belinda Bushell is now a councillor on Temora Shire Council. So, an issue arose where information was starting to appear in the public that this job was imminent, it was starting to happen, and I started making inquiries as to why my company hadn't been given an opportunity to quote the job.
Yeah.
I had a meeting with Mr. Lavelle and I raised these concerns, and Mr. Lavelle rocked back in a chair. This is the ex-general manager.
Yeah.
He said, I've got a statement from Belinda Bushell that says she tried to ring you 3 times and couldn't get you, so she was forced to go elsewhere. And I said, well, that's a load of bullshit. She never tried to ring us. There's no record of any phone calls. There's no record of any messages. There's 1,000 other ways that she could contact us.
Yeah. Been through all there's a million ways. We can do smoke signals. We know where
emails, texts.
We know where the shop
personal
is.
visits.
Personal visits. We know where the shop is.
We've done multiple projects with Belinda previously, and she'd always managed to make contact. And we did multiple projects with Belinda subsequent.
Yes.
And she always managed to make contact. So this was the one and only job where Belinda had not managed to make contact with us.
Yep.
Now, this is interesting, and it's very important that we remember this. So I said to Mr. Lavelle, give us a copy of the statement, and he said no. And I asked him again, and he said no, and I said, that's as weak as piss.
Yep.
Anyway, we were still sorting out.
Back to the secretive game.
Yes, we're still sorting out.
Love this secretive shit. We haven't worked out what lies. We haven't worked out what lies we're going to tell you. So we're going to tell you no. We have all these things, but we'll figure it out later.
This is for Megan Louise and all the other people who don't know the full story.
Yeah, right? And more people are taking notice.
Yeah, some background for Megan Louise. So that's what was happening, and that's how Belinda Bushell actually became involved in this.
Yeah.
Okay. So here I am. I've been told by the general manager that Belinda Bushell is claiming that she's tried to ring us 3 times, couldn't get us, and was forced to go elsewhere.
Yeah.
I completely dispute that. That never happened. There's no phone and I've got a staff member that'll sign an affidavit to that effect.
Yeah.
There was never any phone messages left on our answering service. We've got no evidence of any calls ever being made, and there certainly was no attempt. There was never.
Clearly, there was no contact made or attempt.
Belinda may be able to produce a mobile phone record that she dialed our shop number.
Yep.
But you can dial a number and sit there till it gets picked up by the answering service. Don't leave a message and hang up, and that'll count on your phone record.
Yeah, sure.
But
has that happened?
Well,
have we seen a phone record that?
I asked for Belinda's phone records, and she claimed they were her own private phone records.
Okay.
And no, Gary Lavelle said that, and he would not give me Belinda's phone records. Yet Belinda was publishing that phone number on the bottom of council letterhead.
That was going to be the next. That was going to be the next thing. So I used
that was the phone number I'd had for 15 years for her contacted council.
So if I use my personal mobile number for business activities,
well, it's not private
business. It's no longer a private number in that way.
So the claim that I can't have these phone records is a false claim. However, I had enough on the go at the time.
Yeah, one battle at a time, or 3 or 4, depending on your mood.
Anyway,
I get it.
That's the story. So I had discussions with a councillor at the time, because I wasn't on council at the time, with Dennis Slade. And I said, why would Belinda go out of her way to exclude us from an opportunity for this job? And I was going through scenarios, and I was trying to think back through every interaction that I'd had with this.
Who had you offended? How had you upset? What had been the issue?
How did this happen? And the only thing I could think of was we tried to get a job organised for her mum. We tried multiple different artworks. We never quite got the job over the line. And I just disclosed that to Dennis Slade confidentially, in confidence, whilst we had 3 or 4 meetings to sort of work through these issues.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And he was helping me work through the issue mainly with the town hall job. This was something on the side. This was very much a minor thing, but it was a consideration.
Yeah.
Now, I considered everything in my experience with Belinda.
Yeah.
And I determined that Belinda generally, in my experience, had always done what she was told. So in a conversation with
So
Dennis
I've never had any professional interactions with Belinda. A bit of kid sport.
in conversations with Councillor Slade, and these were what I presumed were in confidence conversations.
Yeah.
I said, no, I've considered this. I don't believe Belinda would have gone out of her way or would have broken rank or disobeyed a direction to not contact us.
Yeah.
So I believe that there's something else has
happened.
Yeah, she's been directed not to contact us, or someone else is pulling the strings here, and she's just doing as she's told.
Yeah.
Now, okay, so that's important that that's known, because that comes up a bit later, and that causes great angst in Belinda's mind. So it appears that Councillor Slade has breached the confidence that I've considered that we shared in relation to that. And he's gone and had a conversation with people at Temora Shire Council about the statement of perhaps why this might have happened. But he hasn't gone back with a second bit of information and said, oh no, but Irvine considers that it's probably not Belinda's doing.
Yeah.
And she would have probably been acting under instruction.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so that's pretty important. Fast forward, I come across the GIPA Act, and I ask Council for a copy of this statement where Belinda's made these claims.
Yeah.
And Council delivered to me, after less than a day and a half, a heavily redacted copy of this statement.
Yes.
And within that statement, there's indications that she's referencing the Heritage Committee and other things. So I subsequently asked for copies of the Heritage Committee minutes, and I start breaking down the statement.
Yeah.
And there's a number of lies within the document. One of the lies, Belinda puts down in the document that she attended the March meeting of the Heritage Committee. When you interrogate the minutes from the Heritage Committee, Belinda was an apology.
Yeah.
So,
which is pretty hard to marry the two up. You're either there or you weren't there.
But this is the whole thing.
Yeah.
We've got a council document they're relying upon that's full of lies.
Yeah.
But also there was a lot of redaction. So I went back and I said, look, I want this document unredacted. But Belinda Bushell, feeling, I would imagine, some pressure because she'd been exposed for telling lies. That's what I imagine. I haven't had that verified. I haven't had that confirmed.
Yeah.
Has resigned a position at council at this time.
Yeah.
Okay. So Belinda's resigned, and I've had to start the quest of getting the remainder of this document unredacted so that I can clear up
and have as many facts and have as much what's actually happening and happened and been alleged.
Now, one thing that bears out what I've said is the February minutes from 2018 from that Heritage Committee clearly states that Jeff Cornford raised the matter of this Galdenia Tea heritage sign. The Heritage Committee adopted it as a future project, and the minutes clearly state Belinda Bushell to obtain quotation from Regal Signs, full stop. Now, Regal Signs is a sign company located in Coolaman in another shire, and it's run by a person who used to be an apprentice of mine. So Irvine Signs were never intended to receive an opportunity to quote the project. That was to be exclusive to Regal Signs. I believe that was out of spite. I really do believe that was out of spite, because council have a procurement policy where local people should be given an opportunity. I had a long and extensive career of working for council, providing exactly those services. And even to the point where I had raised the matter with Mr. Cornford back in 2003.
Yeah.
So he's gone to the Heritage Committee in 2018, and instead of just going, Anthony Irvine raised this issue with me back in 2003, how about we go back to him and get a current quote and see whether we can get this project done? Yeah. No, I was completely excluded from the process. I even had a conversation with Jeff Cornford, and I said, didn't you think it was funny when I didn't get a chance to quote that thing? And he said, well, I just thought you were too busy. I said, well, you didn't ask.
Yeah.
You just thought I was too busy. So he's actually, what would you say, verified that I was left out of the equation.
Yeah, right.
So we've got a situation here now where it appears Belinda has been fed, well,
some version of a story, or
she's basically been told by the Heritage Committee not to contact us.
Yeah.
And then I imagine, and I can't verify this, but it appears as though when I've started making inquiries, the question has been asked of her. Irvine's asking inquiries about why he wasn't given a chance to quote this job, and Belinda has even voluntarily lied.
Yep, or been encouraged to
or been encouraged to make up some excuse to put me off.
Yeah.
Now, that's pretty dirty and disgusting. And anyway, we've proven that it was lies in the, well, the Heritage Committee never wanted to give us a call. She never gave us a call.
Yep.
And the Heritage Committee minutes shore that out. And also the statement that she actually made is false and provably false with council's own documents.
Yep.
So on and on it goes. I go down the pathway to finding or going through the GIPA process to access the remainder of the document. Belinda, for whatever reason, I think she's being told a lot of information here and being used in some extent by the people who want to deflect perhaps attention of their own actions.
Yeah.
And being used somewhat and weaponized somewhat against me, because there's clearly evidence in a later statement or a later email that she sends to me where she's got knowledge about the deliberations as to the reasons why she might not have rung us.
Yeah, right.
Now, they were in confidence with one councillor, but those deliberations appear to have gone back and they've made it all the way back to Belinda.
Yep.
The subsequent determination that no, I don't believe that's the case because I think Belinda would have done what she was told, which basically removes any blame from her.
Yep.
Didn't get to her.
Yeah.
Now, if Belinda hadn't have made the false statement, she's in the clear. Because all Belinda had to say was, I just did what the Heritage Committee told me to do.
Heritage Committee gave instructions. I followed the instructions.
Yes.
The instructions were to get a quote from Regal Signs. That's what I did.
Yes.
Okay, fair
I
comment.
wasn't told to bring Irvine Signs.
Fair play. You're an employee undertaking what your directives.
Being done what you're told. All of the paperwork backs it up. So the big problem we've got here is Belinda is going to die in a ditch now over this statement that she tried to ring us.
Proverbially, of course. You better, yeah.
Well, that's one way.
2024, people get sensitive and reading all sorts of.
No, but she's clinging to this false statement that she tried to ring us.
Yeah.
And the whole argument breaks down when you say that, okay, well, you could have done this and you could have done that and you could have done this. The whole fact that we never quoted on the project is an indication that she never contacted us.
Yeah.
Anyway, fast forward. We're getting up to the election. I've nominated for elections. So this is 2021. The elections are in December 2021. I've nominated for election and so has Belinda.
Yep.
Things are getting a bit willing. But Belinda turns up at my workshop very upset with her partner.
She was upset with the partner, or she was there with her partner?
Her partner.
I just like to clarify things like that because
so I was there working.
I was explaining to Ryder the other day. You can use the same words in a different order. You know, Irv bit the dog bit Irv. Very, very different results.
I was working on my own at my workshop on a Tuesday afternoon in September, or it might even have been. I'll tell you when it was. It was the 23rd of November. 2021, working on my own. So very close. It's only a couple of weeks out from the election.
Now, what you're holding?
3 weeks out.
What you're holding there is?
Well, this is a copy. Anyway, I'll tell you where this document originates from.
Okay.
So Belinda turns up and she's very upset, and she's got a lot of she's quite emotional, and she's with her partner, and she's making a lot of statements and a lot of claims. One of the claims was that if there was a threat of self-harm or some reference to self-harm, and basically trying to blame me if that was to take place.
Yeah.
So the statement was, if my kids grow up without a mum because I've killed myself, it's on you.
Right.
Now, I don't take that sort of bullshit kindly.
Or lightly.
And I just said, no, if you take actions like that, it's on you.
Yeah.
It's not on me. Don't hang that shit on me.
Absolutely.
Yes. So I nipped that in the bud pretty quick. And later on in the conversation, her partner piped up and said, look, this has to stop. And I said, mate, because I think they were referring to my dogged pursuit of the remainder of the document.
Yeah.
And I said, it'll stop when I've got the fucking truth. I've been lied to a million times here. I'm going to get the truth. Now, if that makes you uncomfortable, I'm real sorry.
Yep.
But I'm getting the truth.
Yeah, fair enough.
You know, I can understand why she might be upset.
Sure, absolutely.
You
Yeah.
know, it's clear that my pursuit of that document.
And she's clearly, by either her own design or encouragement and perhaps coercion from those a little bit further up the food chain.
I don't know whether
she's landed in a rock and a hard place and gone, holy shit.
Was she acting out of some misplaced sense of
well, was it a part of her duty and she just went, oh shit? Was it loyalty?
Yeah,
was
loyalty.
Was it coercion? Was it bullying from that side onto there? Or what was it? Because, you know, like, again, I know there are certain people who probably like you or I who won't come out publicly and say goddamn thing because they'll be afraid they'll get shot, have their head shot off. Proverbially, of course, just before YouTube gets excited and algorithms and people go,
No.
But, you know, there is that element. So when you get stuck, and I mean, Belinda's younger than what I am. I'm not sure how much younger.
Yes, but the only way to deal with those when you get stuck is to go, hang on, put your hand up, woo.
Yeah, for sure. But, you know, I'm just analysing, going, a potential rock and a hard place is this guy who's doggedly, he knows he's in the right, or he 100% is committed to feeling like he's in the right. He's going down this path. It may hurt me because I kind of told the porcupine here, whether you did it off your own bat or you did it because the boss next to you is going, just do this for us and we'll look after you. It'll be right.
We don't know that.
We'll make him again.
What we do know
disappear.
is if Belinda didn't make that statement, if Belinda didn't write that statement, she was in the clear because she was supported by the minutes of the Heritage Committee.
Yeah.
So by making that false statement, and she has since come out and said, I stand by it.
Right.
So
she's very hard to stand by.
She's wedded to it now.
Yeah, right.
And she is refusing to. So she's basically saying, I stand by that statement, and that statement is full of lies.
Yeah.
Okay. So
fair enough.
So you can't help her in that case. Anyway, it was very upsetting. It was a very disturbing interaction. So I basically shut my mouth.
Very good friends who have hurry carried themselves, right? And I've got a pretty dark headspace for that. Like I digest death pretty well. Even the people that I love who have committed suicide, there's been a couple of them. Some people would argue that it's because they have to spend time with me that they've gone down that path. And of course, I'm just playing into dark humor there, people.
But seriously,
but I'm mad at them for that because to me it's a bit of a shit way out. It's, you know, there's a lot of people left over. It's a serious thing to throw out there. You've got these teenagers and kids at the moment who are throwing it out left, right, and centre. It's all talked about. I've heard kids talk about it, you know, in my kids' friend group where you go, oi, pull your head in.
There's a high rate of it in young males.
Yes, there's a massive rate. And young males tend to go through with it. Yes. When they go through with it, they go through with it. And when young women get into that headspace, they often do damage to themselves and do self-destructive things. And
don't go through. Look, that's in the real action of it.
That's absolutely. It's terrifying stuff.
This actual statement, there was no intent.
Yeah.
I believe that this was.
I wasn't in the room, so I'm just taking your word for it.
If there was a risk of that, then I just analyse it like this. Surely the action that your partner brings you up to the bully's lair, if you're in that frame of mind, is completely unacceptable. If you're in that frame of mind, you get taken to medical help. And
if one of my loved ones is shit scared of you, I might go and have a word with you.
No, but like I say, but even to that point, if someone is at that stage where they are considering that, then you don't take them there. You don't take them to someone's business. You take them and get help.
No, well, that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yes.
If I've got a problem with what's going on as a partner,
Yeah.
if my partner or some
Yeah.
other loved one
Yeah.
is shit scared of you or
But
the mayor or a bully down the street or whatever, I'm not taking that
no,
person
but
down there
let's look at
to deal
what
with
was
it.
said though. What was said was part of a it was a threat of self-harm to try and get me to do something that they wanted me to do.
Mm.
Now, that is now covered off in the domestic violence laws, whereby that is part of what's considered coercive control, and it's in a form of psychological abuse. Now,
Absolutely.
this wasn't in a domestic violence situation, but this was in a workplace situation whereby my determination to uncover the facts and to have the facts known has led to some stress on the individual who may have made, well, did make
For sure.
false statements.
I guarantee there was stress piled on,
And
for sure.
the reaction was to go and make a psychological threat to me,
Yeah.
to try and dissuade me from seeking the document.
Continuing your quest
Yeah.
for said
So
information.
I was quite upset by the interaction.
As you would be, for sure.
I basically let the individual, like I let Belinda basically blow herself out, get it all off her chest. I didn't antagonise her. I didn't engage in an argument with her. I didn't try and argue the points. The points she was making were off that far off track. It wasn't funny, but there was no point standing there and arguing with her in that frame of mind.
Yep.
So I just shut my mouth, let her calm down, and just got her out of the place.
Yep.
After that, I rang my wife and I said, "Wow, you won't believe what just happened. That was outrageous." She said, "What are you going to do?" I said, "I'm going to go down to the cops. I'm going to make a police report so that it's on the record in case something really unfortunate does emanate from this."
Yeah.
So just so that it's written down, and it's written down at the time, fresh, so it's an accurate version of events.
Yeah.
And also, the senior constable who took the report was sensible enough to say, "We might do a welfare check on that individual later today." And I said that would be
which is a great step. You know, that's I guess it's not a duty of care because you don't owe anybody, as far as I'm concerned, you don't owe anybody that duty of care. But it is a very good step to take.
Well,
in my opinion, to add that layer of, look, you could arguably be emotional about it. Clearly, Belinda was emotional about it. Righto, you've gone down. Those guys are pretty good down there. I think. I think
it was just sensible with such an unusual interaction that I think it was very sensible.
Covered your ass, but it also put them in a position where they've gone to make sure that no self-harm is going to happen to the best of their ability.
And to some extent,
which has got to be a positive.
They did get some statements about some other stuff, which we'll go into shortly. So that's the nature of the unfortunate interaction, and that's the lead up to it. So if anyone's got any concerns about how this has started, because people have been saying that I bullied her.
Yeah.
And that's fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, there's no bullying in seeking a document where someone, a council employee, a council officer, has made a statement. That is not
a false statement.
No, it wasn't a false statement until I got the document, was it? You know what I mean? It was only when we got the
statement's been made, yeah,
and we could analyse the statement, then we could measure that against the evidence, which was the minutes of the Heritage Committee, and then all of a sudden it starts to fall apart, and that's when it gets a bit ugly.
Yeah.
So I've been accused of bullying Belinda on it by a number of people in a number of theatres. But I say, well, what evidence have you got?
Yeah.
They've got none.
Feelings.
Well, the fact that I was being bullied myself. You know, I was being bullied by senior council executives who had directed work away from me and away from my business in direct retaliation, I believe.
Yeah.
Because I'd stood up for myself in relation to the town hall job.
An earlier matter, yeah.
So here we are with this psychological abuse occurring now, and more people getting dragged into this black hole of just a disastrous situation where they pulled the wrong rein, and now they're doubling down on the deviousness or the dastardly deeds to try and, I don't know, put me out of action or shut me down or just finish it off. And it's blowing up Gala.
Yeah.
One of the most disturbing parts, see, and I had cause to actually seek the police report via the mechanism of the GIPA Act. and I made application at the end of February in 2023. So what's that, about 18 months after the fact? We're talking about November 2021,
Yep.
November 2022, February 2023, 15 months.
Yep.
You know, ballpark. It took the police, New South Wales Police Force, 2 or 3 days to decide the matter and provide me
With the report.
with the report. So it was an absolute seamless.
So they clearly weren't
painless.
concerned about any.
No, there's nothing in
There's
here.
nothing in there that's making them go, "This guy is dangerous. He's a threat. He's a problem."
No.
I'm just clarifying.
No, it's just,
If they thought this was going to be a tool for you to go and hurt somebody, they certainly wouldn't have given it to you.
No, it's not.
You know.
This is purely, it's basically they just say police event, electronic PDF, part release, computer. Yeah, no issues, no problem. But one thing that is interesting in here is there's a brief overview, and this is obviously part of the police's inquiries because it wasn't offered up in my report. Police have been advised that the person named, which is Belinda Bushell, resigned from her position in council some days after that Freedom of Information request was made. However, the reason for this is unknown. Since that time, there have been some dispute regarding the documents between the Vic, which is myself, and council, with numerous emails sent back and forth between the parties, that's myself and council. And this is in the police report. And it is believed that the person named may have still been privy to some emails even after resigning. Now, that's very concerning for a number of reasons. It appears that
if you finish up employment somewhere, generally one of the first things they do is pull you out of company communications.
Well, they're certainly not going to be sharing sensitive emails with you.
No.
So it appears from my perspective, where I'm sitting, it's almost as though someone's
feeding information and
winding.
Yes,
adding to
fuel,
Belinda's
fuel to that fire.
Adding to Belinda's agitated or
concerned, stressed circumstance.
Yes, so that's really unfortunate.
It seems that way, yeah.
But that's in the report.
Yeah.
So
it is. Look, and it is, and I think actually Belinda and I had a Facebook interaction some months ago. I can't remember what the topic was, and I sort of at the time, I think I was still down at Pterodactyl FM on a Thursday night. I had actually on that public thread. I'm more than happy to have the debate, the dialogue, whether you were in the room or not. I would have been more than happy to sit here and discuss any of these issues.
I'd like to hear her version.
Yeah, look, I would too. And again, I tend to always lean in towards whoever's telling the story fairly free. You've got all your reports. You've got all your info. You're fairly clear and concise about how you feel it's gone on, and everybody else is in code red silence. Shh, or be very careful, councillor. That type of shit, I automatically, naturally just go, well, hang on a minute. Why is there a secret club over there, or why are these secrets? If you have a genuine point that you believe you're in the right, you've got some evidence to prove it. I'm happy to sit here with somebody else. And let's go through that evidence as well. I would have no problem in the wide world having that discussion and airing the other side out. I offered it down at the Pterodactyl, but nobody's ever forthcoming from this other arena of parties because there are multiple individuals in said party. I wouldn't have a problem with having that discussion.
Let's just go rewind a little bit. When Belinda resigned from council, she sent an abusive email that had further lies in it to me.
Yeah.
This was when she was still at council the last couple of days, right? She said she used the council's email system to send an abusive email that had further lies in it at me. And she CC'd in the general manager, all the senior staff, the mayor, the deputy mayor, and all the council. Now, I'm a contractor. I've got work in hand. This is obviously a sensitive matter.
Yeah.
Council did not make any attempt to make contact with me and to check on my well-being, and they have to this day never once sat down and discussed the content of that email, and even to a further point where one council officer has gone on to claim that I'm responsible for Belinda's poor state of health, and I'm responsible for it based on that email.
Mm.
So they're basically basing their whole opinion of me on Belinda's email that we haven't even sat down and discussed the veracity of it.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's a number of false statements within that email.
Yeah.
That are provable. So this is where I believe Temora Shire Council had a weapon that they were deploying in Belinda Bushels in an agitated state that they sent directly at me to try and deflect any attention from their previous misdeeds relative to the town hall, and further issues with the Galdenia Teesside. So they allowed her to send abusive emails to me using council's email system and never followed up.
I've never been a corporate guy, nor have I ever really functioned in those structured environments of
no, you've got obligations. Like if you're a freaking general manager, you've got codes of conduct.
Well, codes of conduct are
responsibilities. No, but you've got
as a responsibility is where I was about to head. Is if you've got a dispute between two trained monkeys in your zoo, you can't just pick one monkey that you like better than the other monkey and go, I'm going to give that monkey all the bananas, and this other monkey, I don't like him very much, he's not getting any bananas. If you're the zookeeper, or you're the general manager, or you're the CEO of a company, or the HR officer, all that sort of shit. And I know they're advertising for HR officers and all this sort of crap, and most of that stuff I consider crap. Be a grown up, can't handle your shit. But we do live in a world where that stuff's predominant, and it's very, very common and popular.
No, and there's a dead set health aspect to it.
Yeah, look,
this
sure.
Shit can be stressful. This shit can cause real trouble to people.
I don't doubt it for a second. But we live in this environment where that happens. You can't just pick and go, well, this person out of this dispute between two people, we're going to side automatically with that one without any investigation.
You can't sit there as the leader of an organisation and have one of your staff send abusive emails that are full of lies at a contractor who's got work in hand and purchase orders in hand and take no fucking action. Correct. That is not an option.
You can't turn around and not go, okay, we're going to interview this person. We're not going to talk to this one. We're not going to.
You've actually weaponized that abuse by that one individual, and you've turned it into a gang abuse. So it's group abuse, group bullying.
Yeah.
So just bear in mind.
Bullied by an entity.
Yes.
Run by individuals.
Yes.
And that's the cloak. That's the intimidation. That's the force of.
So that occurred.
It's not Anthony Irvine versus
one person.
It's Temora Shire Council. You just read the local shit rag.
The whole
Temora Shire Council versus Councillor Anthony Irvine, and that's again.
But they sat there and they allowed. This is the general manager, all the senior staff, the mayor, the deputy mayor, and all the councils at the time allowed that abuse to occur.
Yeah.
They allowed that email to be sent, and they did no follow-up on that. So they actually become.
And it would be very, very easy to suspect. Not only did they allow it, they encouraged it.
Well, I don't know, but what I'm saying
if you're a little bit paranoid and you had very low opinion of people's motives and they understood the political mindset,
they were all CC'd into it and they all received it.
And they all did 2/10 of nothing.
And they all sat on their hands and allowed it to occur, which is basically participating and adding to the abuse. So that happened as Belinda left her employment. Then they fed her, according to this police report, it appears, it is believed.
Alleged.
It is believed that the person named may still have been privy to some emails even after resigning. So they've fed
certain amount of information.
To what end, I don't know. And then Belinda turns up at my workshop and basically deploys coercive control behaviours and psychological abuse.
Yeah.
Now, Fortunately, I'm a grown-up. Fortunately, I'm a grown man who's, able to withstand this type of stuff. I'm not saying that it's not left a couple of marks, but I'm saying
you're definitely battered and bruised.
I'm saying it hasn't buckled me, and it certainly hasn't. It hasn't caused me to slip into any deep depressions, or it had an impact on me at the time. But fortunately, with the support networks I've got, the fact that I've got a lot of life experience and I'm quite resilient and I'm intelligent enough to process what's going on, then I can actually see through the bullshit and I can protect my own well-being through that knowledge.
Yeah.
So that's where we got up to in this completely disgusting space. Now, after this interaction, I told my close family, I told the general manager that had occurred.
Yep.
I told the Office of Local Government that had occurred. The general manager of Temora Shire Council did nothing.
Which one?
Mr. Gary Lavelle.
Just got to check.
Yes.
Because
the previous general manager.
Yes.
Did absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Now, I believe he had a duty of care. I believe he had an obligation. When that was reported to him, we had a situation that was definitely work-related.
Yeah.
It was
definitely all work-related,
yes,
for sure.
Definitely work-related and definitely a result of their mishandling of a previous matter.
Yeah.
And Gary Lavelle did nothing. The Office of Local Government did nothing. They were made aware of it. I didn't make a big song and dance about it. I was in the process of going to NCAP to access the remainder of the redacted document.
Yep.
And I was preparing for the elections. So I had my hands full.
Yes.
Right? Now, fast forward to December 2022. These rumours have been fuelled by, I believe, Temora Shire Council. And there are people within the community who are going around saying, I bullied Belinda, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I've raised that at a council meeting during 2022. And ultimately, that led to the general manager providing, being a formal complaint of bullying made against me, no investigations, and that was good. I posted that to my Facebook page.
I recall.
Yes, okay, all you Muppets, there's the proof. All of that is lies. Stop believing the lies. Get off my case.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what that triggered in Belinda, but she then posts on my Facebook page a repeat of the abusive email full of lies that she sent when she left council on my Facebook page.
I would consider that to be relatively unwise.
Well, that was unwelcome, but it did present an opportunity for me to publicly refute the allegations. Because that was the very first time that I'd even had the opportunity to say, no, well, that's a lie because of this, that's a lie because of this, that's a lie because of this. So there were 4 key lies that I basically pulled out of that email that I addressed publicly on the Facebook page.
Yeah.
The whole thing went backwards and forth for a couple of days, and then Belinda took all of her posts down and went away.
Yep.
Now, about a week after that, I was at council because we'd both been elected to council now.
I love
the
irony of all these things.
The whole
small towns.
But it's so disgusting that we've got these things happening outside council and we're expected to sit in a room and be civil to each other when, there's all this underlying
things that have to be dealt with, or haven't been dealt with, or should be dealt with.
So this is word for word what I posted on my Facebook page on the 12th of December. I attended council committees on Tuesday. At the end of the day, Councillor Bushell advised she has requested her private mobile phone records. The discussion turned to a visit to my workshop by Belinda Bushell and her partner on Tuesday, the 23rd of November last year, 10 days before the council elections. I was there working on my own around 4:45 p.m. They both walked in. Belinda looked to be in an agitated and emotional state. And the first thing she said to me was, if my kids grow up without a mum because I've killed myself, it's on you. Now, I go on to express my opinion. This is one of the lowest acts I've ever witnessed, the weaponisation of suicide, a pathetic attempt to dissuade me from following through with uncovering the facts of all of the matters regarding council bullying and multiple false statements. This act was nothing more than a disgusting stunt. At last Tuesday's meeting, the Mayor said to me, "You don't know how she may have felt at the time," in defence of Councillor Bushell's actions. "I know that if my wife said something like that to anyone, I would apologise to the unfortunate individual and immediately take her to professional care. This isn't a joke. Suicide isn't a tactic to get your own way. Anyone who wishes to threaten suicide to influence another person's actions needs to be held accountable." Councillor Judd was also in attendance last Tuesday. It's been nearly a week. No calls, no inquiries as to my wellbeing, nothing. Council have been aware of this matter since the 23rd of November 21 and done nothing. Keep calm and pretend nothing happened.
Mm.
So now I've got people like Megan Louise saying things like, "You mention names week after week after a mental health issue was openly disclosed and continued to act with the schoolyard tactics you claim to have had issues with." Megan Louise, get fucked. They're engaging in psychological abuse. They're perpetrating it, they're enabling it, and they're allowing it to remain. And they're fueling it. I've got a letter here from Melissa Boxall claiming, now, I'm calling out bad behaviour here. I'm not talking about anyone's health. I'm talking about bad fucking behaviour. I'm talking about someone threatening to hurt themselves to make someone else do something. Now, that is grubby shit. Melissa Boxall, this year, still wants me to take that post down, and it still remains on my Facebook page. Melissa Boxall's even made comment here that it disclosed personal health information about Councillor Bushell. It does not. It speaks clearly and directly of Councillor Bushell's actions. Now, I would imagine that having those actions publicly disclosed may be upsetting. Well, don't do it. And don't make me the scapegoat for your bad behaviour, right? And don't call me a fucking bully for copping that shit. Council haven't done a fucking thing. They've sat there and they've enabled this. They've allowed this to occur. They've participated in it. They've fed information to her. They've wound her up. They've sent her at me at 100 miles an hour. And this is getting out of control. Now, what triggered tonight's episode was Megan Louise and her bullshit comments on Dean's Facebook page post there last week. Her claim that I'm the one engaging in the schoolyard tactics. I'm the frigging grown-up. I'm trying to sort out the lies and the abuse and the intentional direction of work away from me and the intentional running down of my reputation. And I've had to put up with this bullshit for 6 years. And I still go in there every month and act civilly, with a civil tongue, participate in the process, and I work through the process. And I'm calling out their bad behaviour. And the Mayor's bullshit last week, all these codes of conduct have all come. Would you believe, Dean, the first code of conduct, they put a code of conduct on me because of my responses to Belinda Bushell's post on my Facebook page.
I believe it. We've discussed it. Yes.
So that's
I never ceased to believe.
Further engaging and prolonging, and
it was encouraging the
well, it's another act of the psychological abuse.
Feeding the bad blood, and it's
just participating. It's another extension of the abuse. It's another facet. Oh, how dare you have someone else post on your Facebook page and you respond? How dare you set the facts straight?
Don't you
How
dare.
dare you defend yourself? How dare you refute their lies on your Facebook page?
Yeah.
It's disgusting. Look, tonight's whole episode, this part of it, is designed to put that out there. If anyone's got any other conflicting evidence that they want to air, we can pull a chair in.
Yeah.
I will sit out, and you are quite happy to put your case forward with
I'll sit here and host it. Not a problem at all.
Always. I will go so that there is no perceived intimidation. There's no perceived.
No, we can do it somewhere else if need be. That's not a problem at all. We have the skills, the technology. Yeah. The from my perspective is, a lot of this stuff disgusts me.
It's filth.
And
it is absolute filth. This is the schoolyard tactics, and this is being perpetrated by people that supposedly hold the highest positions of responsibility in the community, and they're engaging in this type of shit.
And look, and you're not the first victim of that type of shit.
Absolutely,
you're not special, other than the fact that one, you've fought back. I can guarantee, and this isn't involved anything to do with Belinda per se, but council laws and that machine have been using these tactics and these strategies for the best part of 40, 50 years.
Belinda is just a tiny
just a cog in a wheel, a little piece of the whole puzzle. Perhaps, yes. I don't think she's pulling any strings up there at the shop, but these tactics, and again, not just this council, but all of them, but there's victims of this shit. I know there's plenty of them in this community because they reach out to me with the little, oh, geez, keep going. Christ, keep going.
I've had multiple phone calls this week from people reaching out
absolutely, and
exactly the same type of behaviour.
And it's ugly, and it's sad, and it's a bit heartbreaking for some people. Somebody said, but couldn't you guys air it out behind closed doors? It's been behind closed doors for a bloody long time.
They refuse. This is the whole thing. They refuse. They air out my codes of conduct publicly, but they won't talk about the lies that they tell to have these codes, and they won't tell about what has gone before them.
Yes.
They won't talk about any of this. They won't talk about their actions, and they won't talk about how terrible they've been. They won't talk about the lies they've told, the bullying they've engaged in, and the disgusting conduct that they are guilty of. And I consider that's just an absolute further insult and further psychological abuse from the general manager. Now, one very interesting fact that I've come across, and I was reviewing the current general manager's LinkedIn profile, and listed in the education on the current general manager, Melissa Boxall's LinkedIn profile. Between 1996 and 1998, she attended the University of Wollongong, and she participated in a Bachelor of Arts, specialising in sociology and psychology. But it appears Melissa Boxall can't determine when somebody is engaging in psychological abuse and coercive.
Or arguably she's very capable of it and enjoys certain aspects of it. I don't know the woman. I've never had a conversation with her.
I find it very difficult for someone who's got that level of education not to understand the psychological aspects of what's occurring here.
Yeah, you would think so. I've never attended a university course, so I don't know what they teach there. I know that some educational facilities these days try to teach that men can have periods and give birth. So I do have a fairly low. I have a fairly low
that has taken up the lion's share of the show tonight, and it's very disappointing. But it needed to be said. So if anyone's got any questions, if anybody wants clarification on anything I've said tonight, please reach out. I'm only too happy to fill in the blanks. Thank you for putting up with that, and thank you for giving me a platform to get that.
No, that's
it has to be said. We have to get this shit out there in the community so that the community can understand. And when someone's talking smack, then someone who's seen the spin doctor can say, "Hang on, that's not the story I've heard."
And there's two sides to every story, and I absolutely implore everybody to do all their homework, ask all the questions.
Yep.
I know one guy in particular is putting himself out there to answer the questions to the best of his ability, best I can tell. And the other side of the debate doesn't want to have a discussion about it at all.
They want to bury it all.
And they like it buried. And that generally raises a lot of suspicion in a guy like me. So, ladies and gentlemen, look, I appreciate that there's certain elements of this audience who are going to be going, we wish that this would all just go away. Fair call. I get it.
Like,
I wish it would all go away by laying it all out on the table.
I wish it never happened. I'm telling you, I wish it would all go away. But also, it ain't going to go away until it's addressed.
And there are also other elements of the people who are watching this program at any given time who feel like they have been wronged in similar circumstances, and that in many, many ways, you in particular, with your role in council, are championing that. I'm just a facilitator of the,
I have supported
the technology.
I've supported a number of people in my first term of council who have been treated poorly, and I've represented them very strongly. And because of my understanding of the way that this goes down, I've been very effective in that role. And if there's anybody who has got a strong enough case and supporting information, I'm only too happy to spend my time supporting you to help you be treated with the respect that you deserve.
Yeah.
Now, it's the festive season. I'm well. That's the whole. Look, the main thing is, regardless of all the negativity and the massive impacts that this stuff has had, believe it or not, we've finished off the year. Well, we're finishing off the year on a really high note. We've got a really solid workload at work. We've got great work to come back to next year and a full book of projects. We've probably got work out maybe to late March.
Yep.
So that side of it's fantastic, even in spite of all of the efforts of people trying to
the best efforts of
trying to destroy us. We're actually thriving. We've got a number of really good things planned over the break, a great chance to catch up with friends and family, reboot, charge up the batteries, and just focus on the important things in life. This stuff, whilst it's really challenging, when it's all said and done, it's not the important stuff. And I didn't start this fight. This fight came to me, and I've found stuff in myself that I didn't know I had, and I've learned a lot about people that I just didn't want to really learn, but
you learned it anyway.
But
these things have that way.
But I do think that we'll continue down this path of integrity and questioning and demanding the answers, and I think I'm already having a massive impact at Temora Shire Council. I believe they're doing things differently now.
Yep.
In some areas.
Yeah,
and I'm certainly holding a light up to the dark places. And I believe that
and there's a lot of good stuff that they do down there. As much as I oppose its very existence, I'm happy enough to say that there are some, there's obviously some good things that go on down there, and there's some great people involved who have jobs at Shire Council. But those dark places,
well,
I like dark places being exposed. I don't like it. I don't think they're necessary.
No. Secrets,
particularly on my ratepayer dollar.
Secrets have no place in a government, a community. Like, we're supposed to be serving the community. Why do we need secrets?
That's right. Absolutely.
And that's the whole thing. And it's all these lies and this subterfuge that has led to this great, very difficult situation. I believe that sensible people can work through this stuff. I'm happy to sit down, and I've always said one of the recommendations from the first code of conduct was that council engage a highly credentialed mediator to work through these long-term issues between myself and Councillor Bushell. I'm ready to go. Tell me when, tell me where. So that's the way it goes.
Just a couple of comments. So earlier on in the evening, we better do this because people go to the trouble of commenting, and I want to give them that little bit of airtime. Sorry.
All good.
Chris McKenzie, is this the start of the end of local government? ? It's been quietly spoken about for many years. 3 levels of government being too much. No local councils and administrators supplied by the state's government. Adam Hale has followed on with in the Constitution. And then we've landed here at, no, it's a waste of money to have 3 levels of government. Local councils have a job to do. The 3 R's, roads, rates, and rubbish. Well, I'd say we need to change it to the 4 R's, Macca, to reducing rates. But they meddle in private business and enterprise, and you pay for them with your rate money. Like the boys have indicated, local councils are racking up unbelievable debts. Look at Cooter and Gundagai, can't afford to unamalgamate, so stuck and going broke. Liverpool, couple $100 million in debt, and and they're doing that all on money that, and look, I consider it extortion. Other people go, oh, we're happy to pay our
But they've
rates.
been trusted with ratepayers' money. They've been trusted with the public money, and they absolutely wasted.
Yeah.
So, and look, the amount of negativity and the amount of negative expense and all of the energy that's been expended in this whole process concerning me has been so negative.
Yeah,
Can you imagine what we could have built? You know,
well,
5 new sports stadiums for all of this energy and money.
Oh, absolutely, and that's
the disgusting part about it. It's so negative, and it's just people refuse to actually be accountable for their own actions, take responsibility for the agreements they've entered into, honour their own agreements, and act with integrity. I'm still really disappointed because fundamentally, one person who seems to have escaped virtually scot-free here is Mr. Chris Dunstan. Mr. Chris Dunstan enters into the agreement. Mr. Chris Dunstan redigs on the agreement, and then all of a sudden, Mr. Chris Dunstan's just over in the background, and everyone else is sort of tearing each other to pieces while Mr. Dunstan's over there running his hotel. And
arguably, the politician in me would say that's good politics. Well done, Mr. Dunstan.
Yes, well, he's managed to sort of,
as the politicians do, you know. And I don't have a psychology. I don't have a psychology degree, but I tell you what, I've analysed a hell of a lot of politicians.
Yes, but I really do think that that history will actually come back and visit Mr. Dunstan at some point.
Look, life has a good way of doing that.
Yes.
Now, there is a little bit of an event tomorrow night. Well, we have a bit of a crew funeral, I suspect. So
it's a mixed,
it's a mixed day tomorrow for sure. Maureen Marsh passed away.
Yes.
Mother of Chris.
Yeah, a band member, bandmate, and work associate.
And I've often said, out of all you musicians, I'm the only rock star in the building. But you know, he's a good friend, as painful as he is. Sometimes I know you're watching, Chris.
Yes.
But
anyway,
you know,
we'll
all the best for Maureen, and we'll be giving her a good little send off. And then tomorrow night, Lady Liberty Kate Fentanyl will be in tomorrow as a guest of mine. We're probably going to go and have a barbecue, you know, hang out a little bit. If you're not familiar with Lady Liberty Kate Fentanyl, do a bit of a Google. She's a massive firearms and firearm owners advocate. She's run for the Senate in WA.
She's worked hard for SSAA. She's worked for David Lionhelm.
She was David Lionhelm's offsider for a couple of years, which is how she and I became friendly. I did a fair bit of work for David Lionhelm.
I watched a podcast with her with Aussie Reviews out of Queensland.
Yeah.
Talking about the Queensland gun law. She's been over in WA trying to hold back the
tyrannical gun laws over there.
And WA, so
she's an absolute champion, and she's visiting tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll hope
tomorrow.
Yeah.
So she'll be around tomorrow afternoon, evening. If you are interested in having a catch up with her, she's not a bad sort. I don't think she'll be wearing a taxationist theft dress, and I don't think she'll have any of the machine guns in tow.
No, I don't think so.
But she's a very, very interesting bird. Top chick.
People.
Anybody who wants to come and hang out and have a bit of barbecue with us or whatever, reach out, send us a message. Everybody's welcome. It's not a catered thing. Bring your own snags and steaks and whatever. And if you want to bring your own beers, I don't care. Go nuts. Do whatever you do.
Everyone having their say, and if she wants to get out there and advocate for her opinions, I'm all for it.
She's a little rock star. I'm looking forward to catching up. We've been friends for a long time, so it'll be nice to have her here.
We're not going to do this next week, are we?
Next week? What's next week?
Wednesday's Christmas, Boxing Day's Thursday.
Should we have a week off? Is that what you're suggesting?
Well, I'm probably going to be tied up Boxing Day.
Fair enough. All right, let's have a week off.
Give everyone a week off.
Give everyone a week off. Right,
you're all Christmas present.
You're all given a week of leave.
Yes.
I'll sign the form. But no,
we'll put together a uplifting and motivating package for the program that we're going to roll out in 2025.
Yeah, that could be fun. Yeah, that could be right. But look, everybody have a great Christmas, New Year. And I'll say Merry Christmas because I'm not afraid of saying that shit.
Merry Christmas. I'll say thank you very much for your support. The people who've been reaching out, and the fact that we've been able to bring so much clarity and so much perspective to a lot of the things that have been basically, this rumour mill has been a closed shop, and it's been run by without any sort of alternative,
as a lot of these fake news outlets are,
without any alternative views or testing of the narrative. And we've
The control freaks are learning really, really fast that they don't hold the entire narrative anymore. They don't have these sheltered workshops. There is the thing called the internet, and you can't just put out whatever the hell you like and not have it challenged.
It can be
tested. It can be shared. Other people can see it. So you can't just go, well, we control the newspaper and the radio, and we'll control that narrative. Because now we've got this internet thing, and you can't put that journey back in. It's like putting toothpaste back in the tube, baby.
I was very happy to see Albo's misinformation, disinformation bill.
Yeah, what a communist
And I
prick.
think I just don't think he's got any hope of his age-based social media. I think that'll collapse.
The kids have already figured out how to get around that. They've already created a dozen
absolutely.
apps. They're laughing their ass off.
The implementation will fall over at the implementation.
Yeah.
Unimplementable. And I think next year, look, Trumpy Dumpy's going to take the White House.
I can't wait. We're going to have a hell of a 4 years.
It's going to be interesting.
It's going to be great fun. I'm looking forward to it. Right, ladies and gentlemen, have a great Christmas. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for all the support.
See you.